We are so good at this.
Yes, we are.
You know, I think by the time we hit 150 episodes, we will be semi-professional and almost competent. But we haven't hit that yet, and we're still the amateurs that you loved us when we started. That you loved us for when we started? Oh my god.
Yvonne.
Anyway, my name's Yvonne.
And I'm Julien. The people, the money, the greed. None of it has corrupted us, Yvonne. We are the purest podcast on Spotify now, Yvonne. Big deal for us.
We're on Spotify.
A pure podcast. The Hungover podcast. A pure one.
And since we've switched over, I am definitely hungover this morning, by the way.
Are
so
you?
Living up to the name.
Holy shit. This is our first Hungover podcast.
In a long time. Since we're doing our clean, we've moved, maybe not spiked seltzer, okay? Since we're moving to the clean living hungover podcast, healthy kombucha. That's what I'm having this morning.
Dude, I don't know.
Did you hear that?
You hear that? You nasty, dude. Kombucha is like, I'm not into it. You know? It kind of tastes like soggy.
Great stuff. Good stuff. Smooth.
It tastes like soggy fermented sock to me, depending on the flavor.
You just really haven't had the right one.
Are you?
It's so good.
It's so healthy for you. It's probiotic. It's not.
Here's the thing. I actually like this. Usually this is the Pink Lady Apple. I actually usually like this. This is the first thing I'm imbibing since brushing my teeth. Always a bad choice.
Oh, that's a weird move.
I opened this like 2 or 3 days ago. But I didn't drink it all. So it's basically flat kombucha.
That's a lot, man. Flat kombucha's gotta be even worse. That's especially a soggy sock. Fermented soggy sock. That's gross.
Yeah, man.
I tried to get into it. I'm like, you know what? I'm trying to embrace the wave of kombuchas.
The booch trend?
The booch.
You're on the booch bus?
A lot of the packaging now looks really refreshing, makes it look so refreshing. I've tried it multiple times, haven't found one that I liked. Maybe you guys can suggest some in the comment section below or on Twitter or something. Email us, a direct email.
A direct email.
gaminghungover@gmail.com. All business inquiries.
Boomer.
Yeah, Yvonne, we start our podcast out every single week by asking each other what you've been getting into and what you drink last night. Apparently you drank a lot. Hungover.
I did.
What'd you do?
I had Moët Chandon.
Wow.
Brut Imperial.
A real amazing person you are. That's great.
Was it champagne
No,
dreams?
yeah.
And caviar breakfasts.
What'd you do?
Well, yesterday I kind of celebrated. I got a promotion at
Congrats.
work. So I bought a thing. So I'm assistant art director on the film that I'm working on now. So
I got promoted at work too.
What? Look at us.
I'm
Look
no
at these
longer
boys.
an apprentice. I'm an actual butcher.
I know a butcher. I make a
Isn't that
podcast
weird?
with a butcher.
That's fucking weird. I'm like a real butcher. That's a weird thing to say. I don't know why I went down this path. But, you know, I'm happy I'm here. Cheers to us.
I'm fully with it. Cheers.
Congratulations on your promotion, Yvonne.
Thank you. Congratulations on your promotion, Julien.
Thank you.
I will continue to celebrate today on my wine tour.
Oh,
What's the best way to
God.
cure a hangover? Off of 2 bottles of wine and some beer, more wine.
Oh, man, this guy is gonna get... You're gonna sleep well tonight, let's put it that way.
And then I plan on getting drinks with my colleagues tonight.
Holy
That's going to
shit.
work.
Maybe you won't sleep well tonight. It's typically like a day buzz and then you're hungover again and then you just pass the fuck out. But
my goal, we have 2 packs of La Croix to take with us.
Here we go.
So I'm hoping that I can have enough water throughout the day. Maybe I'll do the things where you taste it, you swish it around in your mouth, and then you spit it out. We'll see. There's a first time for everything.
No, Vaughn, don't do that. Please don't do that.
I wonder if you can do that in COVID times, where they're like, it all has to go down.
That's actually a really good point. I wonder how the rich have been living during COVID.
You
Must
can't
be nice.
You can't have this wine swill everywhere.
Dude, oh my god. That's exciting. You got a promotion, you celebrated it. You're going to celebrate even more today?
Yes, it just happened to pan out that way.
Hold on. If you don't mind me asking, how does a promotion work when you're going to work on a different job with a different
great question
team? I presume
it just means
team.
that I get this credit. I can basically get this credit onto my IMDb.
Okay.
And then as I start to transition upwards from coordinator to assistant art director, it should make that journey easier by proving I've already done the job.
Sweet.
Yeah. There's no... It's a low budget film that I'm working on, so there's lower stakes and in terms of like it's a better place to yes, but it's a better place for people to learn the roles of more responsibility. And in that way, I think it's really great to work on these independent films. And
would you have it any other way, Yvonne? You want to work with fucking Leonardo DiCaprio, man? Get the fuck out of here.
Yes, I do. At some point.
All right. You want to work with these big Hollywood bigwigs? Yeah, right. The producer comes on the set, just fucking knocks your coffee off your table. The fuck are you doing? You're ruining my film.
That's why I stay in the office the whole time, and that's what I've been enjoying.
Cool. Great.
I did. Usually we talk about what we got into in the week. I watched a Safdie Brothers movie. I watched Uncut Gems for the first time this week.
Big deal.
It was interesting. So they talk about this movie a lot and like it being a thrill ride, anxiety, like it's a heart attack waiting to happen. I don't think that absorbed into me because Adam Sandler's performance was really good. But I didn't care about his character at all. Because I'm just looking at all the opulence and wealth that's surrounding him, and I'm like, there's really not that much stake here. He could get a double mortgage. He could sell property. Like, he's clearly got assets.
Yeah.
Why am I worrying about his bets? Like, he's just not doing the right things to cover his bets.
That sounds very complicated to me. Double mortgage? That's when you is that when you refinance or you get a mortgage on your mortgage?
You get basically a mortgage on your mortgage.
Okay, refinancing's good usually.
Financial position to be in.
Okay.
But it's not like it can't happen. And for a guy who's always looking for one thing to cover the next thing to cover the next thing in a Ponzi-like scheme of half-baked ideas. It's why not? Maybe he's already done that at this point. Maybe that's part of the thing. I don't know. The thing about this movie is it moved so quickly that it was hard for me to grasp the nuances of some of the story. And maybe that's just me as a movie watcher, that I'm too dumb to understand it. But, maybe it's not. Maybe maybe it was just too fast for me to understand.
Oh, man.
Along with some of the other people, the subtleties of it.
Too fast for Yvonne.
Too fast, too furious.
Oh, God. Oh, no. Was that... I don't even want to ask about that. I just don't... so many thoughts crossed my mind, and I just don't want to. Anything else you got up to, Yvonne?
Julien, that's it for me. Let's throw it over to you.
All right. I mean, I I actually had a really exhilarating day yesterday. I've been working for the past 10 days in a row. Because I had
That's
to cover for
insane.
someone, which means I had to switch. Someone wanted to switch weekends with me. So I get Friday and Saturday off this week, but they started me on Tuesday of 2 weeks ago, and they wouldn't. There's no other option for me to get a day off. So like I skipped my normal weekend and got a weekend further back in the week. So I worked 10 days in a row, and so I planned out so I actually got Friday and Saturday off this week. Exciting.
Woo!
That's what normal people do. I usually get random days off in the week. But yeah, so
Are
I
they
planned
at least
out
connected usually during the week?
what?
Are they connected during the week usually?
Yes.
Or is
no,
it like
yeah, I
you
usually
get
get
Monday
2 days
off and Thursday?
Oh, no. That only happens if there's like a holiday or there's like circumstances where that could happen, but it's usually I get 2 days off in a row. So I planned out my whole Friday. I had a bunch of things to do, a lot of errands to run. I've been planning this Gundam stream for a while. A lot of the stuff came except for one spray paint bottle, which is actually a pretty vital part of the Gundam build. So I wanted to go to Blick, the art store in the Lower West Side. I also wanted to purchase something again from. I can't stop spending money on video game things, retro video game things. And it's like there's always more to get. I gotta get more. I purchased the Eon Super 64 from Eon. This allows you to play N64 games via HDMI. It's pretty nice. I went to Video Games New York again, and I was like, you know what? If I'm going to buy that and be there, I might as well get something else that I've wanted. I got a Super Nintendo. I've never had a Super Nintendo as a kid, because that was when my parents were like, no, you can't play video games. And then they just eventually gave in, and now look at me. Look at me now, Mom.
Making a career out of it.
Making
so
no money.
Successful at the Twitch that you're a butcher.
Yes, so successful. But I've always really wanted a Super Nintendo. There's a lot of fantastic JRPGs on Super Nintendo that are all over $200 now, so I'm not purchasing them. But I did get A Link to the Past for $40, which is awesome. I really love that game.
It was $60 at when it was sold. With inflation, that's a steal.
It is a steal.
That's like $5 for a game.
Damn.
That's the Steam of console gaming.
It's pretty sick, I will admit. And I also bought Super Smash Brothers for N64 as well. So I got to totally reorganize my living room setup. So now it's just retro games plus my PC, all hooked up to an HD TV, which is really cool in my opinion. So I totally reorganized my living room. And then I started the Gundam stream. I went streaming for 5 hours. I didn't think it would take me that long to paint parts 2 different colors, 2 different color scheme. But I picked up a red spray paint from Blick. I don't know if they're outside of New York City, but so I guess it's probably not relevant.
They're in a couple major places.
Oh, okay,
I mean, they're. I'll tell you this much: they're well known in the art department community.
Oh, good. Okay, so then that's awesome that I mentioned their name. Yeah, so I picked up a matte red spray paint. Taught myself how to spray paint on the fly. It's a learning experience. It's a $20 Gundam model, but now it looks very good. I think I have this. I have an acrylic varnish, so it's gonna look halfway semi-matte or semi-gloss. It's halfway between gloss and matte. I have to put that on.
Nice little satin finish.
Yeah, I did it outside.
A little eggshell, maybe.
It's great.
Or is it a little more dull?
We'll see.
Talk to me.
I don't know the finish texture yet because I haven't put it on. Because I wanted to see if I wanted to put another coat of paint on first. But I have everything painted black and red. I bought a 50-foot Ethernet cord so I could run it out to my porch, so there was no interruptions in my stream. Quality content. I'll tell you, there was a nightmare that went on. Oh, it was a lot of fun. It was a stream. I'm sorry you missed it, but you missed it for a good reason. So of course, me teaching myself how everything goes. It was fun. It was kind of cold out. I did it outside. I stayed outside for right 5 hours.
Oh,
I mean, I took breaks, but I wore a jacket. And so I got a little lazy. You're supposed to sand, the nubs, because the pieces come connected to other plastic to hold everything in place. And I was getting lazy towards the end, towards hour 4. I was getting a little lazy, so I was instead of clipping all the pieces, sanding all the pieces, washing all the pieces, drying all the pieces, then priming all the pieces, then painting all the pieces. That's the process.
They don't come primed?
No, it's just finished plastic. You could spray paint it, but you're gonna get a much more even coating if you prime it. Yeah. So I basically went through all that minus the sanding on a lot of the parts because they were getting smaller and smaller, Yvonne. I didn't want to deal with it. And it was getting darker and darker. So this one piece, and mind you, I'm on a porch with planks of wood with gaps in between the planks of wood. You can see where this is going.
I've been there, yeah.
Yeah, so I came up to a part of priming all the pieces. I came up to a part with a large nub on it because I didn't sand this one. I'm like, oh fuck, I can't leave that on. So I was getting away with like, oh, there's a rough edge. I don't really care. I'm gonna paint over it. But this was a large nub, so I flicked it off, and because I'm priming pieces, I'm wearing gloves on. And then you're supposed to use a damp cloth after you sand it. I sanded it after you use a wet cloth to get all the particulate of plastic off.
Right.
It's just a faster process. As I wiped it, I had it on the bench right next to me. As I wiped it, it flicked off. When you wear gloves, gloves never fit perfectly, disposable ones. You have a little lip
reservoir tip.
Yeah, exactly. It flicked off of that and went straight into the hole.
Oh no.
I'm like, oh no. And at this point I'm 4 hours in, I'm like, okay, $20 model is really, I know it's much more than that when you factor in time commitment and the fact that I spent money on painting it and all this shit. I was like, fuck it, I can't get it. By hour 5, I told Nikki that it happened, and this was after I painted everything, and she's like, no, we're fucking getting that piece. Because
what a supportive team member.
It was
job,
actually
Nikki.
a beautiful moment. I really love her for it. So she's like, get some fucking chopsticks. We're doing like a classic Asian household. The only problem solver in the house, chopsticks. So I actually didn't realize that our neighbor's roof is actually pretty close to. There's only like maybe a foot gap between our patio and the neighbor's roof, so the piece was actually only a foot below the planks of wood. So we were actually able. We caught this all on stream. I did a mobile. I was time to go mobile. I was filming it while Nikki did it for me. She's like, I know how to do this. She's like, get me tape, stat. I need tweezers. Go. and she basically finagled it out of the wood plank for me, and I was really happy.
She's playing real life Operation.
Yeah, pretty much. She's like this. I was like, so go back and watch the VOD. It was a lot. I was interstitials. I filmed the cats from the porch because they were fighting. Went back to Nikki, gave commentary, the whole spiel. It was a lot of fun, and Nikki saved the part. I saved the part. I did nothing.
And I did all the work.
I did all the work. Thank you so much, Nikki, for coming out to stream and saving the stream. And so I had a pretty fun day. And then I played Super Smash Brothers. And then after that, I stayed up until 3 a.m. Preparing some sausage. I'm making a sausage at home. Pretty gross, I know. But I'm making lapchung, which is a Chinese dried sausage. So I wanted to candy pork fat because I had to do it overnight, and I want to do it tomorrow. So I was like, oh, of course I left the most complicated step and tedious step for last. Of course. My incredibly busy day, now I gotta candy some pork fat. So it took me like an hour to do that because I had to So I did that from 2 a.m. to 3 a.m. last night.
My God, your dedication is astounding.
And now
actually.
I'm up. It was 8 a.m. And now it's almost time for Yvonne to go. But maybe we can squeeze a little bit of a topic in. Maybe we can squeeze a little bit of our topic of the show in right now. Maybe this will be a shorter podcast, Maybe quick, small form factor podcast. We'll see how it works out.
This is the commuter pod for everyone who's got a half-hour commute.
Some people do. Usually not at all. We wanted to talk a little bit about the Epic Games. Very popular gaming publisher now. They've got a game storefront on your PC, personal computer, and they make Fortnite and some other games that you may be interested in. But they make Fortnite, which is one of the biggest games on the planet right now. It's been going strong for a very long time, making them a lot of money. They can reinvest that into a lot of other gaming-related things. They've been trying to get Fortnite on the old Apple application store on your digital phone device that you can get. But Apple's not budging because Epic wants to sell their game at a premium, all right? And they want to make as much profit, and by sell, it's a free-to-play game. But they're in-app purchases that Apple wants to take a 30%.
Apple does
revenue.
Take a 30%
they do.
cut of.
30% cut of every purchase, I assume, on the application store. The App Store.
Saying the whole word makes us feel like journalists.
Yes, I know.
That's where we're going.
You know what? Sponsor the podcast, New York Times. We'd be happy to take your money. Just like Apple is. We want to take a 30% cut, all right? That sounds pretty nice to me. It's in the terms of service on the Apple Store to get anything on the Apple Store. So Epic is trying to fight this, saying that it's just the rent is too damn high to get my goddamn free-to-play generic game. Well, every game after this game is generic because every game looks like Fortnite.
Right.
But Fortnite's the originator of that look. So I guess you got to pay respect where respect's due. What's your opinion on the whole situation? This is a heated, two epic, no, pardon the pun, epic companies going at it. Yvonne, give me your hot takes.
All right, prepare the breakout. Here we go. Apple, like Google, has dominated
$1 trillion company.
Ecosystem. All right, it's like $91 billion this Apple market is worth.
Yeah.
Steve Jobs, in emails that were leaked,
I have an iPhone
said
right
that
here.
He wanted to drop the 30% into the 20s. I don't remember if it's 20 or 25% now. When the Apple App Store reached $1 billion in profit.
Okay.
Now it's way more. It's like $64 billion in profit or something like that. And so Apple is still at this 30% mark, which means that they're just fucking printing money. Again,
do you see those new iMacs?
Apple had more cash in hand than the GDPs of some entire nations, like a
Yes.
few years ago.
It's scary.
Yeah, so I mean, I understand companies need profit in order to appease shareholders, etc. But at what point is having this 30% share cutting off creativity and the ability for people to make more money on the platform? And then realistically, you'll more than make up for the difference between 30 and 20 in the amount of
New
like
applications coming onto the
exactly.
market because they couldn't afford it. Yeah.
So I just think it's a little greedy short-sightedness that has always been the drive of shareholder companies, is thinking about short-sighted things as opposed to the long-term vision of what the company is. And I think this has been especially affecting Apple since the leadership of Steve Jobs passed on.
Yes.
I'm not a huge Apple defender. I like their phones and their phone ecosystem more than I've liked any of the other brands that I've used before, which is why I have an iPhone and have continued to have an iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's always room for improvement, and I think that this is going to, if this lawsuit is successful in terms of breaking Apple's monopoly or lowering tariffs on developers, etc., like that's just going to be better. Like, how many times have we discussed Amazon or Apple or Google finding apps on their store that are super popular, or items on their store that are super popular, just totally biting it and then launching their own and restricting anybody else from having that version of an app?
I think we've talked about that maybe 5 or 6 times probably. Absolutely. It's interesting that it's taking a gaming company to do this, to do something like this, but I suppose they're one of the largest companies putting an application that has in-app purchases or whatever, on
sure.
the store. So,
And it's interesting that it's Epic, which has this super popular free-to-play with in-app purchases, so that you have that kind of balance of something that a lot of people are going to, but they do tend to spend like $1 to $2 or hundreds of dollars when you get those whales.
it's all about the whales, Yvonne. They sustain the companies.
That's true. So but that's like the thing, right? So when they launched this attack that they were going to go after Apple, they launched it with very cheap V-Bucks, which are the fake virtual bucks that you use to buy skins, etc.
Yeah.
Now we can talk about the utter idiocy of virtual currencies in order to buy things. So taking your real money, creating it into things that you can only spend in the Chuck E. Cheese bucks of Fortnite.
You talking about cryptocurrency, Yvonne? What are you talking
No.
about? What is this? Some sort of metaphor?
The FTN of V-Bucks.
No, yeah, it's I mean, we've had a conversation about sort of loot boxes in video games and in-app purchases in video games, free-to-play video games. We've sort of been discussing that in various podcasts in the past, and how it does prey on, in certain cases, and usually most cases, prey on gambling habits and may potentially develop gambling habits for children because children play these video games. It's inherently predatorial. But
and this isn't gambling, but it is that I think it is that it is similar in terms of they're developing that hit of dopamine from buying the new thing that they can relate to, like a Star Wars skin or a John Wick skin or something like that, so that you're always getting something that relates back to what the kids are into at that moment. So even if it's not gambling, it's still, they're baking into their system the psychology of children and consumer consumer psychology and pushing them to buy the next thing and the next thing and the next thing.
Right. And do you think Apple's gonna budge at all with this? Maybe they'll drop it down to 25 or something, 25%.
See what happens. I mean, we'll see what the court says. I don't know exactly what the goal of Epic's lawsuit is, or what the results of the lawsuit could be. Whether it'll just be shrinking the tariff or eliminating the chokehold that Apple has on apps that have purchases in their ecosystem, right? So if that monopoly is shattered and people can have their own in-app purchase vending that exists outside of Apple's grasp, right? Apple can't take a tax on that. Then that's a whole new slew of like bullshit apps that can launch.
No, I totally see the appeal on Apple's side. Because it's a interesting dilemma, right? You are sort of, in a way, what you're saying is true. You're sort of blocking off the App Store in a way, indirectly, by with a money wall in a way, because people aren't able to make as large of a profit off of their app as they normally would. Say, I don't know on the Google store how it works, but
I think it's a similar thing.
It's probably similar. I mean, but also Apple needs to make money on the App Store, right? If they didn't take a cut, how, other than ads, I suppose, how are they going to make any sort of revenue off the App Store, a large revenue source for them? So the other side to this is that I wanted to talk about how Epic's game philosophy, or how they sell games, their philosophy is actually pretty interesting. They've sort of been attacking Steam at the same time. They've been talking. Steam takes a cut similar to Apple on their store, and Epic has their game store where they're providing more money to the developer of the game, as opposed to Steam, where they take a larger cut. I don't know the exact percentages. So it's just interesting that Epic seems to be pro game developer and pro Epic, obviously, when it comes to profit. When it comes to profit of video games. So I just think that I like that mentality, but I also feel like there's got to be some sort of sinister. I don't really trust Epic Games, so there's got to be some sort of sinister thing going on.
I think they're trying to break in and get market cap, so they're probably offering more like incentives, better terms to game developers, or to put them on their store. And apparently they've been sinking a lot of money in reduced or free games in through the Epic Store. So their Epic Store has been kind of a cash sink.
Yeah.
And that is Apple's argument as to why this has been created. But Julien, this has been our quick hit. I know this is a topic that we want to continue talking about, but I really have to go.
Yeah. It's fine.
So thank you so much for joining me and accommodating my schedule on your 4 hours of sleep. I wish you the best with your sausage today, man.
I got a lot of other things to do. We'll see if it gets made.
Right.
The sausage always gets made. All right, everyone. Sorry it's a shorter podcast this week. We'll be back next week with a normal length podcast.
For sure. Thank you, everyone.
Have a great day. Bye.